but it's still going to be a massive hill decline because there are many things that haven't been tested yet. So congratulations, you'll be one of the first to be testing new things out. If you're on the, let's call it the latter side of it, don't worry. Again, it's not a race whatsoever. You want to implement the full DAO effect when it's ready for your quorum to enter into that. It's got to be a mutual agreement. And what I mean by DAO is the transition to break down the barrier between what we are formally calling the leadership team. We're currently in the middle of transitioning that word into servant, because I think that's much more accurate of a description of what we're actually doing. We're not leading people. People are not following us. They're equal with us. But if we serve them, we do it with our heart. And we're gifting something to them instead. A skill, a piece of advice, love, whatever it is, we're in service of them. Serving humanity and serving God's will. So we're in the middle of, we're in the beginning of that transition from leader into servant. And then from there, we're going to start breaking down the walls between the serving team and the quorum membership team so that everyone understands all you need to do is serve one another. And that helps to drop the wall so everybody's seen as equal. And as they start to understand that, that's how the DAO becomes stronger. Because you're no longer a wallflower who thinks that they offer no value. What you say, what you believe becomes important for everyone to hear. So that transition will happen through this year. But guys, if it's December 31 and you still haven't made that transition, who cares? Just go into next year, right? It's not a race. It's when the people are ready. Then people will tell you when they're ready, and you can kind of gauge, right? Like, try something. If it doesn't work, scale back. Then try it in a different way. That's what being agile means. So this year for 2025 is moving into that transition. And if you happen to be on the forefront of that transition, your quorum has successfully transitioned into full DAO and there's no more servant versus membership, then just help another quorum, right? Lock arms together. Let's do it together. Don't go, oh, I did it first and then I'll just do whatever afterwards, right? We're one big family. From a, let's call it non-QSI membership perspective, if we think more about what the developers are doing or globally what we're doing, we're still currently on track for Seabridge testing at the end of this year. Now, will it be October, November, December? None of us know right now. But what we can see visually is Kim's ICOs are heavy in finance, right? So what does that tell you? It means they've locked down all the Seabridge assets, the CBDCs, and they're not transitioning to all the other financial bridges. So we did derivatives, stocks, government bonds, etc., real estate. So they're bringing everything in because when we get to the CBDC beta testing, it's supposed to be designed where you can be anywhere in the world, and when that one currency is ready to do the swapping, you can do it. So you don't have to travel anywhere. You should be able to go to your local bank in your own hometown, and they will have whatever that currency is to be able to swap into the digital version of it. In terms of off-ramping, it's designed where at the beginning, there are fewer vendors that can make it. But over time, there will be more and more vendors because to make sure that the usage, the ability to connect to their system and be able to pay with the CBDC is working, right? So you start small and you increase over time. And then we add on more Seabridge. So it could be, this currency here, and then a couple of months later, this currency there. But as you're layering everything on, it means more things are offered in the world. It means there's more liquidity in the system. And so the amount becomes larger and larger over time. So whether it really does start at the end of this year or at the beginning of next year, we're only looking at a few months difference anyways. The time is coming. We're just watching Kimmy very closely. How close can he get to make sure that everything is ready for testing to begin? There are a lot of other very exciting things that are happening. Nothing that I can disclose at this time. A lot of it has to do with when Ben returns. He's going to confirm so many different things. Off the top of my head, I can think of 3 super exciting things that will make everybody jump for joy. So the
I'll go to Whitney Senior.
Be prepared for at least 3 monster updates by the end of this year, including but not including secret testing.
Wow.
Ben. And then in terms of next year, think of it this way. The more CBridge testing that we do, the more, kind of think how to word it, like, we have to be trained in certain things. We have to be trained in white hatting this, for lack of a better term, dividing this, for lack of a better term. Because I'll give it another reminder. If you guys remember New Zealand dollar, that CBDC, they're having their election at the end of next year. When is the Australia election? This year. So we're not going to hit May of this year, right? We're not ready for that. But end of next year is it president or prime minister? Thank you. So it's their election. And part of that asset, the bonus was QSI, one of the members, to be part of that election process. So that tells you that there has to be a lot of training by the end of next year in order to position somebody from QSI in there. Do you see where I'm getting at? If you backdate that by a few months for campaign, that means you have to have training before the campaign even begins. So I'm not going to give away
Training.
training,
or training?
which means no. So, if you start looking at the D classes and the ICO and the timeline, even though I haven't made the post, you can already start to gather what could be happening in the next couple months. So this year, let's focus on helping the developers get through the hurdle they need to get to prepare for next year. So it's going to be, I've been kind of like secretly telling people in New South Wales and New Zealand, I say, this year will be the most exciting, let's call it finality of your 3D meat suit lifetime. Next year, it's going to be the most exciting beginning of the next evolution of your life.